Naples, 2001. Two tourists ask a young man for directions. As the young man explains the way, a passerby bumps into one of the two young women, causing her to collide with the young man. The woman apologizes to the passerby, but the young man notices that the passerby is actually a thief who has stolen her wallet from her handbag. With a swift hand movement, the young man pickpockets the thief in turn, hands the wallet back to the woman, and as she walks away with a friend, two butterflies fly out of the tourist's handbag toward the young man's hand, transforming into two banknotes. At the airport, Koichi Hirose has arrived from Japan. Jotaro Kujo has assigned him the task of tracking down a young man named Jojosbizarreadventure, suspected of being a descendant of a powerful stand user. Outside the airport, Koichi meets the young man from earlier, who offers to be his unlicensed taxi driver for a good price. Koichi agrees, but when they reach the car and Koichi places his suitcase inside, the young man leaves Koichi stranded and attempts to escape with the suitcase. Immediately, thanks to his stand echoes, the car suddenly stops, allowing Koichi to catch up to the vehicle. Having reached the car with his suitcase thanks his stand echoes, Koichi watches as the young man behind the wheel speeds away. Two police officers who witnessed the scene comment on what just happened while Koichi listens in. The young man's name, of Japanese descent, is Giornogiovanna. When he opens the passenger door, instead of his suitcase, he finds a gelatinous sphere from which a frog emerges. There is no doubt, this is a stand ability. As the frog jumps on him from the front seat of the car, Koichi begins to suspect that he might actually be Jojosbizarreadventure, the very person Jotaro sent him to find. As the frog disappears into a nearby manhole, Koichi calls out to the officers. Outside the airport, Giornogiovanna is approached by leaky Luca, a local criminal who invites him to follow him into a nearby park. Luca intends to explain the 3 rules for surviving in this neighborhood. Above all, anyone working around the airport as an unlicensed operator must pay him protection money. When Giorno refuses, Luca threatens him with his garden shovel and snatches his wallet. But as Luca opens the wallet, he notices a photograph of someone we know all too well. Leaky Eye Luca attacks Giorno with his shovel after the boy refuses to give him money, but Giorno dodges the strike. From a nearby manhole, the frog emerges and climbs onto Giorno. Luca orders him to remove the creature, but Giorno refuses, stating that it is a living being with a will of its own. Growing increasingly enraged, Luca swings his shovel directly at Giorno's abdomen, where the frog is perched. However, the frog emerges unscathed from beneath the shovel, while the force of the blow is inexplicably reflected onto Luca's own head. The impact proves fatal due to the sheer strength behind the strike. As Luca collapses lifeless, Giorno picks up the frog, which then reverts to its original form, Koichi's suitcase. Meanwhile, Koichi heads toward the address given to him by Jotaro, where he is supposed to find Jojosbizarreadventure. Upon arrival, he notices a group of girls gathered around a young man sitting outside a restaurant. As the girls leave, Koichi realizes that the young man is Giornogiovanna. The moment Giorno spots Koichi, he flinches. When Koichi demands his belongings back, Giorno attempts to flee. Koichi stops him with his stand echoes. Giornogiovanna realizes that what he is experiencing is the same effect that happened to his car outside the airport. The pressure becomes so intense that the restaurant table breaks. As he falls to the ground, Giorno uses his stand to strike the pavement, giving life to a plant. The vine grows at an impressive accelerated speed. At first he disappears from Koichi's sight, but Koichi quickly spots him at the top of the plant whose trunk is growing at an unnatural speed. From the top of the tree, Giorno warns Koichi he doesn't want to be followed and any attempt will be useless. Deciding to act, Koichi attacks the trunk with echoes, but the moment his attack lands on the created plant, the impact is reflected back onto him, slamming him violently to the ground. As the tree grows as tall as the surrounding buildings, Giorno climbs down and escapes across the rooftops. Koichi immediately calls Jotaro to update him on his search, informing him that Jojosbizarreadventure changed his name upon arriving in Italy. He is actually Giornogiovanna. According to some sources, his hair color naturally changed from black to blonde just like his father's. Jotaro then reveals the truth to Koichi. Giorno's father was none other than Dio Brando, leaving Koichi in shock. As Jotaro ends the call with Koichi, he realizes that the presence of a powerful stand user may have triggered Giornogiovanna's own stand awakening. Meanwhile, during a ride on the funicular, Giorno is approached by Bruno Bucciarati, who has been tasked by his boss to find the person responsible for leaving Leaky Eye Luca in critical condition. Bruno knows that Giorno was in the area when Luca was injured, but the young man denies any involvement. As Bruno steps off at the station, something appears in Giorno's hands. It's Luca's eye. From the window, Bruno is certain that Giorno is lying. Without hesitation, he boards the funicular again and strikes Giorno with a punch to the face. Moments later, fingers emerge from Giorno's mouth. They belong to Luca. Bruno warns Giorno that he possesses a special power and lands another punch. Strange zippers open on Giorno's face and neck, revealing a bizarre dimensional space. Now, there's no doubt, Bruno has an ability just like his. With this realization, Giorno prepares to fight back with his own stand.